I was asked a question the other day, and in a way it was a simple question. And that was, if it is conclusively proven that that mausoleum or tomb in Srinagar is not where Jesus is buried, will that prove, and will I accept it has proven that Hazrat Mirza Sahib was wrong and that he wasn't the Messiah that God had promised? You see, such questions arise because we fail to distinguish between the positions that divine appointees occupy and what they say, in what capacity they're saying that. Let me give you an example. Hazrat Mirza Sahib was not a prophet, but I'll give you an example from the life of the Holy Prophet Muhammad himself. The Holy Prophet was a prophet. He received divine commandments, and whatever was written, whatever was sent down, whatever was revealed, he and the Muslims acted upon it without question. There was no question. Alcohol was forbidden. This was announced. Immediately, ankle deep, streets of Medina were ankle deep in alcohol. People just throw it out, because God has commanded they should not drink. Now, there are other examples. For example, when the Holy Prophet heard that Muslims were about to be attacked by Quraysh, this is the second time Quraysh were attacking Muslims to avenge Badr. They defeated Badr. He called together Muslims and he consulted them. And his opinion was that Muslims should stay within the town and defend it from within, because we are not strong enough to give battle in open. The majority disagreed with him. So what did the Holy Prophet do? Did he impose his own will on the people? Or did he say to them, well, okay, this is the view of the majority, and that is what I'm going to do? He accepted the advice of the majority. Even though later on, those people who disagreed with him, they apologized and said, we'll do what you said. But he said, no, a decision has been taken, we'll act upon it. Whether it's right or wrong, we'll decide and judge after its consequences have become apparent. Now, this thing, this opinion that the Holy Prophet Muhammad ﷺ had, that Muslims should defend Medina from within rather than give battle in open field, was a personal opinion. It wasn't divine guidance. So people felt free to disagree with it. And this is not an isolated opinion. The Holy Prophet Muhammad saw what you might call the first example of, an early example of artificial insemination, where people were taking pollen from one palm and rubbing it on the other to try and get more date crop. And he disapproved of it. And because he disapproved, people stopped doing it. Now next year, the date crop went down. So people went to the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and they said this, look, we used to do this and we used to get a bigger crop. And then you said, don't do it. It seems unhappy. Let nature take its course. And this is the result. And the Holy Prophet gave a wonderful reply. He said, I'm not a farmer. I'm not an expert in these things. You, the people who are expert in matters of farming. I was a merchant, I was a trader, I was a businessman. So you should have explained this to me. This is nothing that is unlawful. This is nothing that is not legitimate. So carry on doing it. So the Holy Prophet Muhammad himself retracted the instruction that he had been given. Why? Because that instruction was given not as a prophet, but as an ordinary person. And then we have the example of Hazrat Zainab, his own cousin, who was married to Hazrat Zaid Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu. Zaid was a freed slave. Hazrat Zainab Raziyallahu Ta'ala came from a noble, illustrious family. And the Holy Prophet had made that match. Why? To set an example that what matters is some person's piety, his character, not the tribe or the family or whatever it is that they belong to. But things didn't work out. And Holy Prophet asked Hazrat Zainab not to divorce Hazrat Zainab. Now Hazrat Zainab's reply is worth remembering. He said, is this a command from Prophet of Allah, or is this good advice from my cousin? Because he said, if it's a command of Allah, then there's no question I'll stay married. But if it's my cousin advising me, then we can't get on. There's constant tension and I'm not going to live with it. See, Hazrat Zainab clearly distinguished two things. The Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's position as the Prophet, as recipient of divine revelation and a command from God, and his own personal individual views. And we know about Sulh Hudaybiyah, when Hazrat Umar was very upset that on the face of it what seemed like Muslims had accepted defeat or entered into peace on humiliating terms and conditions. And he was angry and he went from companion to companion. But when God revealed, can't you see, this is clear victory, not a defeat. Once that verse was revealed, Hazrat Umar was that quiet. He didn't say anything. So the question we have to answer is this. Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, when he said Jesus is buried in Srinagar, was that a result of divine revelation? Or was it his own research? The answer is that was his own research. That was not divine revelation. Because God told him that according to the Holy Quran, Jesus is dead. He is not going to come back. So the natural question then arose, what happened to him? And Hazrat Sahib looked at historical evidence and so on and so forth. And as you would know, Jewish tribes are being found in Afghanistan. As you know, there is evidence that St. Thomas went to South India. As you know, there is evidence that certainly Mary and Jesus' brother went to, I think there's a place called Texila in northern Pakistan, and so on and so forth. So based on that historical research, he said, well, I think, if you look at that grave, other people have said this before me, if you look at that grave, it seems to be of a Jewish person. And my conclusion is that I think it's Jesus who was buried there, who traced other tribes that had migrated from Palestine, other tribes of Jews who had migrated from Palestine, and he preached to them, and then he passed away. Even if that research is proven wrong, it makes no difference, because he didn't claim it was divine revelation. God hadn't told him that. That was a result of his own efforts to try and deal with the whole situation, including the question of, so what happened to Jesus when he was taken down the line?